By now, the sun had fully risen outside the lab window, already slipping beyond view. Rhy Shen drew in the cool air, but his attention was caught by the subtle shift in the room's colors. The dancing greens and golds of the Ego Sea were gone. In their place, a warm red bled through the windows, bathing the lab in a quiet, almost threatening glow. The sight that met him next would mark him in ways he could not yet understand.
What the hell?
Outside the lab window, the Ego Sea had given way to another marvel of this world. Gone were the rolling green waves and whirling streams. Instead, hills stretched endlessly, swathed in a sea of vermilion blossoms that seemed to tremble in the light. Flocks of birds drifted across the sky like living clouds, their shadows sliding silently over the glowing landscape. The brilliance of the landscape seared Rhy Shen's vision. Familiar, yet impossible. Beautiful and strange.
Enjoying the view, eh? Don't get too comfortable. Arrival.
Huh?
With his heart hammering, Rhy Shen spun around, shaking the ash free from his eyes. A young man with cloudy, bright hair and thick eyebrows stood in the doorway of the lab, his eyes calculating, his stance taut in a military stiffness. No smile. This guy wasn't here to charm.
You don't belong here. And judging by that look, I suppose you know that too.
Before Rhy Shen could answer, M baffled his big mouth with a sincere warning.
Whatever you do, kid, don't tell him anything you couldn't have found out on your own. This lad may look like a clown, but under that redundantly shapeful hair hides the mind of a sneaky, clever bastard. Don't mess with Immo, idiot or not.
Apparently, this Immo had no time to waste. He closed the distance with the seriousness of an old general and began brushing ash from Rhy Shen's shoulders and hair. Rhy Shen jerked away in disgust.
What the fuck do you think you're doing, man?
Don't test me, Arrival. You're expected in the arena, and I'll not have you show up in a state that might raise questions from Thos or Herma. That's in both of our best interests. So get clean.
Rhy Shen followed the order with dissatisfaction. He would have preferred thinking about this himself. This Immo guy was a pest already.
You're odd to take me to an arena? How big is this building?
Oh, I will lose my last nerve if every future arrival is going to be annoying like you, dirtbag. How do you think this building was made, eh? All these machines won't wheel themselves, plain and simple. Pfft, I don't get it. There is clearly not one drop of vivid Athem in your soul. Nevertheless, they want you up there. I'll eat a chair if they can squeeze anything useful out of you. Take the elevator when you're done cleaning yourself.
What elevator? I don't see one.
You're such a turd.
A flat insult was all Immo could manage for Rhy Shen before he turned to the lab door and vanished as explosively as he had appeared. Moments later, a mechanical dragging stirred somewhere nearby.
Huh. Do you know what he was talking about, M?
He could almost hear M grinning behind his Ishi mirror, somewhere at the far end of the world.
Well, you know what an elevator is, right? It elevates things upwards. If there only was any way to find out where an elevator goes,
Fine, I understand. I'll take the goddamn elevator. What the?
Easier said than done. Rhy Shen nearly broke himself while trying to force the door open that Immo had slammed shut without a second thought. He pushed until his vision dimmed, too dense to phase through the matter, too weak to apply the pressure it demanded.
Finally. Such a shitty door.
Maybe you're just shitty in handling doors, kid.
It didn't take long for Rhy Shen to find the lift in the maze of stairways and locked doors outside the lab, although M complained about his incompetence without a pause. The elevator shuddered as it began its ascent. A pressured stream indicated the following motion of the cabin that offered only one destination, on floor 6. Beyond the shaft, the cavernous rock groaned with the clatter of construction. Hammers striking stone, drills whining, and chains rattling. Then, with a hiss and a grinding halt, the elevator stopped. A sudden silence pressed against the metal walls, heavy and expectant. Rhy Shen's senses flared. Through the milky glass of the elevator doors, only blurred silhouettes flickered. But the rhythm was alarming. Too fast. Too brutal for any ordinary training match. A sharp, nerve-rattling sound cut through the mechanical hum. It was the voice of a woman, struggling and raw. Rhy Shen's pupils widened, and a shiver ran up the nape of his neck, every instinct screaming danger.
Something is going on there. Grah! How do I open these stupid elevator doors, Em?
M's mocking laughter vibrated within Rhy Shen's ear.
This is too delightful to watch. I won't guide you this time.
Grr! Okay, then!
Like a wasp trapped under glass, Rhy Shen slammed into the doors. The brass-framed glass cracked and wobbled under his pure rage, but the door stayed intact.
What a lucky bugger you are. Seems like no one noticed your little outburst, kid.
Unimpressed by his own performance, Rhy Shen tried to squeeze his entire body through the glass.
Impressive effort for someone who looks like soup steam. I wasn't convinced you'd even handle the elevator button. That's how normal people would try to open those doors, by the way. But sure, me, almost killing yourself works too,
With the absurd stubbornness of someone tackling the impossible, Rhy Shen pressed on. Somehow, despite the pain, he managed to get his face through, but no further. He summoned the last of his strength just to lift his eyes in that surreal posture. Lo and behold, the next marvel of this world reared itself up before him. The shadowy arena ahead was enormous. Its round walls were rising tier upon tier of ornate balconies, each lined with brass rails in symmetrical shapes. It felt more like a temple than a training ground to Rhy Shen. The hall seemed almost empty. Down in the pit, Immo, the bright-haired scholar from earlier, had just taken a brutal hit. A swift, merciless kick landed squarely on Immo's face, sending him staggering backward as the concentrated wind around him dissipated in a sharp gust. Recovering instantly, Immo swung his arm, summoning a powerful blast of wind that almost knocked his opponent off balance. But the girl that beat him up was quick.
Take this!
Twisting with the precision of a predator, the combatant countered with her massive double-headed battle axe, striking him with force enough to split his skull. Rum. Rhy Shen understood at last. This woman wasn't prey in need of saving.
Ouch!
She was the danger. To Rhy Shen's utter surprise, Immo wasn't split in two. He turned just in time, letting the broadsword on his back take the worst of the blow, but the force still slammed him against the ground. When he rose back up, blood spilled from his mouth, yet he still didn't draw the sword.
Was that not enough? Ha! Watch closely, Immo. This is what it costs to underestimate me.
There was no chance of Immo surviving the furious strike. Rhy Shen was sure of that. His chest tightened as he watched the weapon arc toward Immo, and a surge of panic clawed at him.
This lunatic girl is out of control. I've seen enough. That guy Immo introduced himself like an asshole, plain and simple. But I won't let her smash this jerk.
Before Rhy Shen could embarrass himself completely, M tried to rein in his boisterous temper.
Ghostboy, Rhy Shen. Think for one hell-forsaken second in your life. You don't even have a physical body to protect, Immo. This isn't just reckless, it's insane.
Rhy Shen did not care. With all the subtlety of a rhinoceros, he finally slammed through the elevator doors and burst into the arena.
Stop! What in the shitholed hell do you think you're... What?
More than 20 scholars in training suits were lined up on both sides of the arena, something Rhy Shen hadn't glimpsed from the elevator. Every eye burned into him, some cold, some smirking, all judging. Rhy Shen's stomach knotted. The fight froze in mid-chaos. The girl's axe stalled in its swing. The wind from Immo's counterstrike hung in the air as both combatants whirled to face the hulking maniac crashing into the hall. Rhy Shen again.
Oh, kid. So valiant, so committed. Storming doors as if they'd insulted your honor. How did you even pull that off with your mushy face, Immo surely won't appreciate your interpretation of architecture. He's oddly attached to functional entrances.
M nailed it. The scholar named Immo Sylvas Keller could hardly process the reckless audacity of this chaotic, door-crashing newcomer Thos had assigned to his supervision. He knew the Alchemists had spent ages trying to summon someone from another world through the sphere. And here it was, a door-obsessing, pale-faced, unrestrained chaos-bringer. Bravo.
This is a controlled test, Arrival. You have no right to interrupt a discipline you clearly don't understand.
Confused and embarrassed, Rhy Shen immediately defended his unhinged behavior.
Controlled? You call this embarrassing defeat of yours controlled? This girl was about to smash you.
Smash me? Ha! Discipline, Arrival. There is a method here, a procedure. You are ruining everything. You seriously need to get your temper in check, turd.
That was enough. Rhy Shen lunged forward, every ounce of his fury packed into his fists.
Grr. Oh, not again.
The strike passed through Immo's physical form like a punch thrown at smoke.
Ha!
Just like all the following swings. Immo stood still, smirking at him with contempt.
Ha ha, turd.
If I were you, I'd check my chicken-ass hair before I judge about others.
At least this insult wiped the smug grin off Immo's face. His patience evaporated, and he hurled himself at Rhy Shen's hazy outline, as though he were taking on a raging storm.
Feel that.
Ah!
What?
Immo couldn't land a single hit either. For the first time since his arrival, Rhy Shen felt the cruel limitations of this half-existence. He could see, hear, even think, but he could not do the one thing that truly mattered. Land a few proper smacks on someone when they damn well deserved it.
Enough!
Amidst the flailing limbs and wild wrestling of empty air, the commanding voice of Alchemist Thos ripped through the chaos. The scholars froze mid-breath, the wind from Immo's weapon stilled, and even Lumen's glowing axe flickered in hesitation.
Ghostly boy Rhy Shen, stay where you are.
In the blink of an eye, Thos stood before Rhy Shen, his expression cold and unyielding.
This is not a playground for tantrums, nor a duel to be interrupted by whatever you think you are doing. So, I came here because you might be interested in your current condition. Be that as it may, watching you try to fit into the real world is almost laughable.
A hush fell over the arena. Scholars stifled giggles, some of them were biting their lips to keep themselves from laughing outright. Keeping the serious tone unbroken, Thos plunged his hand into the folds of his leather apron and drew out a rough stone, its surface throbbing with an eerie orange light that Rhy Shen recognized at once.
You remember the little thing you brought along from the sphere? Examining it was enlightening.
He jabbed a finger at Rhy Shen's precious little relic from his past life.
This goddamn fossiled orb of yours. This is dung. Petrified, ancient, divine. I can clearly see that once it was brimming with energy. And yet, it's shit, basically. Ha! Where did you even find this? It could predate our sun.
Thos's eyes narrowed as he studied the pale boy, stuttering.
I think it's something from my home, from where I was before I came here.
Ha ha! Yeah, let's talk about that for a second. If the sphere had worked like it was supposed to, we'd have gotten a version of this filthy little thing. And you, bubbling over with Athem energy for us to harvest. But instead, you and this piece of dung. Bleh. Useless.
Thos muttered the words heavy with finality.
I cannot make use of you. You are thoroughly incompatible with the Athem of this world. Pathetic input.
He smashed the glowing orb on the ground, imprinting the round shape into the floor. The ring of scholars recoiled as the orb struck the ground, some from fear of Thos, others from the alien creature the alchemists had dragged into this world. Rhy Shen's shoulders tensed. From the corner of his eye, he saw the girl he had tried to prevent from beating Immo so mercilessly. Unlike the others, there was no scorn or fear in her eyes, only something quieter, something warmer. And then there was the face of arsehole Immo, smirking at the glowing orb, clearly without any clue about the true meaning of this plain object that had brought down an entire world.
Ha 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 ha! Told you so, turd.
That was it, the moment Rhy Shen remembered. If this filthy thing was his only link to the world of matter, the only thing that still answered to his touch.
Immo, watch out!
What the? Ah! Ah!
As Rhy Shen had hoped, the orb turned out to be a perfect fit, driving his clenched fist into Immo's face with a satisfyingly solid impact that made it almost musical.